Hello students, welcome to the last session of this chapter of environmental issues. In today's video classes, you will be knowing what is degradation by improper resource utilization and maintenance. In that you will be studying what is soil erosion and desertification, what is waterlogging and soil salinity. You will be knowing what is deforestation and sorry, what is called as a jump cultivation. You will be knowing what is reforestation and the case study of people's participation in conservation of forests, that is how people contributed in conserving the forest, that you will be knowing under this topic. That will end the environmental issues. So now let us quickly start with the class of the video lesson. As I told you, we will be starting with the degradation by improper resources utilization and maintenance. That is degradation by improper resource utilization and maintenance. Where have you heard the word degrade? We usually use the word degrade when the people less respect us, or when we don't get the proper respect, or if we have a disrespect, we use the word degrade. We generally tell the people degraded us or the person degraded us. That means where we do not get respect or where we have a disrespect, we use the word degrade. Here in this session, or when explaining with the degradation in related to the environment, we are disrespecting our ecosystem, we are disrespecting our mother earth, we are disrespecting our natural resources. That is, the degradation of natural resources can occur not just by the action of pollutants but also by improper resource utilization process. That is, we are degrading the environment not only by the pollutants. The environment is not degraded by just the pollutants but also by improper resource utilization practices. How we are utilizing the natural resources is in an improper way. By this improper practice, we are degrading the natural resources, or we are improperly using the natural resources is causing the degradation. Next, there are two topics that I have included in your NCERT, that is degradation happens by the soil erosion and desertification. What is soil erosion? You will be knowing it. It is nothing but blowing or washing away the top fertile soil. As you all know, the fertile soil is present in the topmost layer. That is, the topmost layer is said to be the fertile soil. If this erosion is happening, if it is blowing away, or if the top soil is washing away, that will lead to the soil erosion. After a certain period, when all the top layers of the soil is eroded, or if it is blown away, that will lead to the arid condition of the land. Obviously, when a soil is fertile, we can grow good crops, or the quality of the crops will be enhanced if the soil is fertile. But when there is no proper soil, when there is no fertility in the soil, obviously the plants cannot grow properly. When a plants cannot grow properly, the land will become arid and it will eventually turn into desertification, or the desert like thing. Arid condition will be happening. You have this notes here, you can just write it down. I'll be explaining with what is soil erosion and desertification. You can take the time and copy it. And how do this desertification happens? How do this soil erosion happens? It is not only by the natural process of wind and water that brings about the soil erosion, but also human activities play an important role in the soil erosion and the desertification. Human activities like overcultivation or unrestricted grazing, deforestation, and poor irrigation practices will bring about this arid patches of land. When the land is degraded over a time, a barren land or a desert is created. Nowadays, due to increased urbanization, desertification has become a major problem. This is about the soil erosion and desertification. Here you have to know how the soil erosion affects the growing plants and how the land is becoming arid or a barren condition and turning into the desertification processes. So this is with the soil erosion and desertification. Next is waterlogging and soil salinity. What is waterlogging? It is nothing but if I take an example, if a drainage is not proper, the water will log in one side. It will get accumulated in one side. In the same way, waterlogging is nothing but the drainage problem in regards to the agricultural field. So whatever the water it is there, it gets accumulated. It gets accumulated in one side of the land, and it cannot be absorbed, or it cannot move in either ways. So this will make a land into a waterlogging area. Irrigation without proper drainage of the water will leads to the water logging in the soil. It not only affects the soil. If there is much of water logging, you all know plant require water, but it should not be more. That doesn't mean it requires much of the water. It should not mean that we should log a water in that place. If there is excess water also, plant cannot grow properly. Optimum water is required for the growth of the plant. Even a sunlight, if it is more of heat, the plants, some of the plants cannot grow properly. If there is much of a water, even a plants cannot grow properly. So waterlogging will not only affect the crops, but it also affects in the other way. How that is affected? That is, salt waterlogging draws the salt to the surface of the soil. You all know that soil have salts. This salt, when waterlogging happens, this salts will be drawn into the surface of the soil. I'll just show you the picture. The salt, then it is deposited into a thin crust. All the salts that is present in the soil will start to accumulate and form a thin crust on the land surface and start collect, and also it not only seen as a thin crust on the land surface, but also it starts collecting at the roots of the plants. It also starts collecting at the roots of the plants. So when a salinity becomes more, the plant cannot grow properly. You can take an example. Everyone would have seen beaches, oceans, and you can see the salinity of that mud, or you can see the salinity of that sand. Can we grow the crops there? Can we do the agriculture there? No, because it has more saline. The sand over there is more saline, and it is impossible. It is not possible to grow all types of crops in that salinity sand. In the same way, when a waterlogging happens, when a waterlogging starts to happen, this salt which is there will be moving towards the upper surface, and it forms a thin crust. And in another way, this saline or the salts starts collecting in the plants, making the plants that means the plant cannot grow properly. This increased soil content will retard the growth of the crops, and is extremely damaging to the agriculture. Obviously, when a plant cannot grow, it will make a problematic in the agriculture. Waterlogging and soil salinity are some of the problems that have come in a wake of green revolution. You can see the image here. You can see all the saline salts that has been accumulated into a thin crust, and this here is called as a waterlogging. You can see water logging here, and after a certain period of time, the thin crust of thin crust of this salt gets accumulated not only on the surface, but also the roots of the plants will also have a more of salinity. This is with the waterlogging and soil salinity. This is how the land is getting degraded. Now I have explained how the land is getting degraded. It is in two ways. One is through soil erosion, the land can get degraded, and next is through the water logging, the land is degraded. Let us now start with the deforestation. I'm sure everyone would have heard about this deforestation in your high school, and some of your friends might have written the essays also with the deforestation, so you will feel it really easy knowing about it. Deforestation is nothing but the conversion of forested area to non-forested ones. Once there was a forest, we have all chopped it down. Many of the forest land have been chopped out, and it is converted to the agricultural field. This is very interesting topic, and we have to definitely take this very seriously to stop the deforestation, because there is many problematic situations that is happening. So what is deforestation? Everything needs a definition in the biology. So what is deforestation? It is a permanent destruction or a conversion of a forest area into the agricultural land. Deforestation refers to the decrease in the forest area across the world that are lost for other uses. Definitely we do not just chop the trees, we use it for other purposes. Here other uses includes industrialization, urbanization, furniture making, residential establishments. So these are some of the reasons for what the deforestation is happening. We are cutting down or chopping down all the forest areas mainly for these conditions which I have mentioned, that is industrialization, urbanization, furniture making, residential establishments, etc. We are using it and we are cutting down the forest land. This is called as deforestation. And at the beginning, the present scenario of deforestation is particularly grim in India. Definitely it is making a problematic, it is creating a problem in India. In India, deforestation has increased in couple of years. So only I have mentioned it is creating a grim in India. So in the beginning of 20th century, almost there was about 30% of the entire area or the entire land area was covered by the forest in the beginning of 20th century. But by the end of 20th century, that is in the beginning of 20th century itself, the percentage of forest area is reduced to around 19 to 14%. You can just see the statistics. In the 20th century, it was almost 30% of the entire land that was covered by the forest. But soon, at the end of 20th century, it was reduced to just 19.4%. It was a drastic decrease. So if you see that data, it is reduced from 30 to 19.4%. For this, a policy came into the existence. There was a policy made by the government of India to check this deforestation and to preserve this forest land. What is this called as? It is the National Forest Policy that came into existence in 1988, which says that around 33% of forest cover should be present in the plains, and 67% we should see it in a hilly region. That is what the estimation was given by the National Forest Policy. As I told you, it shrunk to the 19.4% by the end of 20th century. So only this National Forest Policy of India has recommended that 33% of forest cover for the plains and 67% for the hills. This need to be maintained. Let us quickly know what are the causes for this deforestation. Deforestation will happen because this because of forest getting converted to the agricultural land. Many of the forests have been cut down and it is converted to the agricultural activities. This is one of the cause for deforestation. Next, logging, urbanization is also one of the reason. Desertification, as I told you, when deforestation happens, eventually when our trees are not there, it will turn to desertification. I have already explained with the desertification. This is also major cause for deforestation. Next is mining. As you all know, this is nothing but the digging of soil or the digging of the land for the natural resources. For this also the deforestation is happening, because we need a natural resources, because we need minerals to extract the minerals. This deforestation is happening. Next is forest fire. You all have recently heard about the bushfire that had happened. Though it is a natural calamities or a natural disaster that has happened, but indirectly even we are held responsible. And for all this deforestation, the main problem is with the overpopulation. It is the main reason. As told earlier, how this overpopulation is related to the deforestation. As the population increased, we all need food. For this food, the crops need to be cultivated. For all these crops that needs to be cultivated, we need a agricultural land. For this agricultural land, we are chopping down or cutting down this forest area and we are converting that to the agricultural land. So overpopulation is the main cause for this deforestation. Next is slash and burn. This slash and burn is also called as shifting cultivation, or it is also called as a jump cultivation. The jump cultivation, or before that I need to tell you the harmful effects of deforestation also. This deforestation will make a loss of biodiversity due to the habitat destruction. The whole habitat, when a deforestation happens, many of the forest areas are cut down, the biodiversity will also be decreases, due to which the habitat also is destructed. Next is slash and burn agriculture, which is also called as jump cultivation, or it is also called as a shifting cultivation. So what is this jump cultivation, or what is this slash agriculture? One of the major reason I have told you, it is due to the human population, which is making a problematic situation. But this slash and burn agriculture, which is also called as a jump cultivation or also shifting cultivation, in the northeastern states of India, this practice was started. Before many years or decades ago, the population was less comparative to now. What the people used to do is, they used to cut this forest land, they used to burn the trees, they used to burn and change that land into the agricultural field. This what happened is, when the slash and burn agriculture happened, the people from this area practiced this. Northeastern states of India cultivated the slash and burn technique, where the people cut down the trees and start burning the trees. They used to get the potash. This potash will enrich the nutrient for the agricultural land. The burnt soil contains, or the burnt trees contain potash, which increases the nutrient content in the soil. When they cut the land of the forest area, they used to start the agriculture. After they start the agriculture, when the crop is gained, or when we take out the crops, they used to move to the other places, or they used to move to the other forest land. When they started moving to the other land, this forest area was healing and the plant started to grow, because there was a soil fertility. As I mentioned, there was a potash in the soil, there was nutrient in the soil, and eventually as the time progressed, this used to heal. They used to go to the another land, again they used to start this jump cultivation or slash and burn cultivation. They used to cut the trees, they used to again grow the crops, they used to take the crops, economically, or the people used to certain by the agriculture, again they used to move to the different places. In a period of time, again that area was healing. This is how the practice was going on. But what happened here is, after cultivation the area was left, the sorry after cultivation the area is left for the several years, so as to allow the recovery. So there was a recovery phase where, after this cultivation, there was a recovery phase where again the plant started growing. The farmers then moved to the other area and repeat this process. In earlier days, when jump cultivation was in the process, enough time gap was given, enough time was there to heal, that is, the recovery phase was there, the plants used to again grow. But as the population increased, this repeated cultivation, because of this repeated cultivation, this recovery phase was not there. This recovery phase was less, and eventually that turned into the deforestation. Obviously, when a population is less, when one community moved to the another place, there was a healing phase where the plants was again growing. But when the population increased, there was no healing phase. When one community moves to the other place, another community would have come and started their agriculture. So this practice was not accepted, and this led to the deforestation also. Hope you have understood with the jump cultivation or slash and burn agriculture. As the name itself suggests, the slash is cutting down of trees, burning and using that as a manure or using that as a minerals. They used to grow the crops. After they grow the crops, after they take the crops, they used to move to the another land. There was a healing phase that happened. Plants used to again grow, or the trees would always again grow. As the population increased, there was no healing phase. As one community moved to the another community, and different people would have come there and started the agriculture. There was no healing phase happened, and this was not accepted. Because of this, there was a disturbance, and pollution was created. What are the harmful effects? The loss of species would have happened, because the loss of species, because when the forest area is cut down, definitely the species are harmed. The animals which are living there would have been lost. So when this cultivation happened, or when deforestation happens, there is a loss of species. And soil erosion, obviously soil erosion would have happened, because the topmost layer would have been eroded or blown away, leading to the soil erosion. That is one of the condition. Next is increased carbon dioxide. Obviously, when plants are being cut down, or when trees have been cut down, this carbon dioxide will be more in the atmosphere, oxygen will decrease. So even the carbon dioxide content will be increased in the atmosphere, leading to the air pollution. So overall, what is happening? As I told you, overall there is a loss of biodiversity. There is a loss of biodiversity that is happening, and habitat is totally disturbed or destructed. And not only that, there is also a disturb in a hydrologic cycle. Even the hydrologic cycle is being disturbed. So how can you overcome this deforestation? We will just look at it. I have already told you the disturb of hydrologic cycle can happen, cause of soil erosion can happen, and eventually that may lead to the desertification in extreme cases. When we are always cutting down the trees, when we are making the land barren, it is leading to the arid condition, and eventually that will turn to the desertification. These are the problematic situation arises if there is deforestation happens. We all know how plants are really important to us. Without us, the earth can sustain, but without the trees and plants, the world cannot sustain, because it is a nest or the house for many species which are dwelling in the forest. So deforestation needs to be stopped. What are the things that can how can we overcome this deforestation? We will be knowing about it, but we'll know what are the consequences of deforestation. What are the consequences? There is a erosion of the soil. I have already told, if there is no trees, definitely erosion of the soil will happen. I mean, disruption of the water cycle will happen. That also I have told you what is the disruption, that is hydrologic cycle, how it is disturbed. It disturbs the hydrological cycle. And loss of biodiversity. Also with the, it also leads to the flooding and drought. Floods can happen because water cannot be absorbed. When water cannot absorb, it will lead to the flood, or waterlogging also can happen. So flooding and drought is also one of the effects of deforestation, or it is also one of the consequences of deforestation. Next, how can we stop this deforestation? We can all contribute, or we can at least make an effort in stopping the deforestation by adopting few easy steps. What are those easy steps? Plant a tree where you can. Now many have come forward to stop this deforestation and to grow plants, because nowadays at least few people, at least a percent of people are having the know the consequences of this deforestation, and they are coming forward to plant the saplings and buy recycled products and then recycle them again. Buy a recycled products and try to make it a recycled one. Raise awareness with your friends or friend circle and in your community. Talk to them. Many of them will not know what is effects, what are the effects of deforestation, and what are the benefits of these plants, or what are the benefits of this forest land will not be known. So kindly talk to the person, talk to your friend circle, talk to the community, because not everyone are from the science background, or not everyone will have the affinity towards the plants. You can see our elders growing many plants. You can just see in your balconies, your parents would have grown the plants because they know the importance of the plants. But some of the people will not have any affinity, or will not have any idea about how these forests or the plants are important to us. So kindly talk to the person, talk to your friends about it, and buy only what you will use. Just don't go to the place, take everything that you need, but decide whether is it required for you, then you entertain it. Every product that is made out of trees is recyclable. So practice recycling in a proper way. So these are the few easy steps that we can adopt to stop this deforestation and to save our mother earth. The main reason what we can do is reforestation. As the name itself suggests, we are reforesting it. Once it is disrupted, deforestation has happened, we have to reforest it. There's a difference between reforestation and afforestation, or afforestation, what you call it as. There is a difference between reforesting and afforesting. That will not go much into it. So what is reforestation? It is a process of restoring a forest that once existed but was removed at some point of time in the past. So it is a very important role in order to overcome deforestation and to restore the natural balance of plant life on the planet. We have cut down the trees, we have misused our forest land. So to overcome this deforestation, to overcome these consequences, we have to plant the saplings in the forest areas, to bring back our forest percentage, to raise our forest in the earth or in the land. So what happens is deforestation should be adopted. As I told you, it is nothing but the restoring the forest. We have to restore the forest. Reforestation may occur naturally in a deforested area. However, we can speed it up by planting the trees with due consideration to biodiversity that earlier existed in the area. There was a good biodiversity, for example, there was a good biodiversity in particular area. We have deforested it. So what we have to do? We have to sow the saplings, we have to grow the trees, and we have to bring back that biodiversity in that forest, in that particular place. That is termed as reforestation, where we are reforesting it. Forestation, we are bringing again the forest. That is termed as reforestation. Now, we will know the case study of people participated in conservation of forest. There are many people who knew the importance of the forest area, or many knew the importance of the forest area, and what are the consequences they were knowing it. I like to tell one story about it. This is one of your case study, how people participated. There is a Bishnois movement that happened in 1731. There is a small story which you need to know. Not only we cannot tell only educated people know about the forest importance. No, it is wrong. We can tell that we who have studied little, who have known about the science, who are educated, are doing the mistakes, but our ancestors really protected our land. In 1731, the king of Jodhpur in Rajasthan asked one of his ministers to arrange a wood for construction of new place. Now the king wanted a wood for the construction of the new place. The minister and the workers went to the forest near the village, and that village was inhabited by Bishnois. Bishnoi is a community where the Bishnoi people lived there in that village. And in the Bishnoi, a woman named as Amrita Devi showed exemplary courage by hugging her trees and daring the king's men to cut her first before cutting the trees. This was the courage she showed to the king's men. When king's men went to cut down the trees of that village, Amrita Devi took the initiative and started embracing the tree or hugging the tree, and she uttered the slogan, or uttered the word or a statement. She told that she is ready to sacrifice her life than to sacrifice the trees. So sadly, what happened? The king's men did not heed to her pleas and cut down the trees along with Amrita Devi, as she told, as she confessed that she is ready to sacrifice her life, but she was not ready to leave the king's men to cut down the trees. But what this king's men did was, they cut down the trees even with Amrita Devi. Not only Amrita Devi, even her 3 daughters and hundreds of Bishnoi followed her and lost their lives in saving trees. This incident inspired several other rural women who launched such similar movements in different parts of India. This happened in 1731 only. Then only this shows that how our ancestors, how our people loved the trees, but we, knowing the consequences, are not taking a care of these forest areas. We are misusing it, but our ancestors or the previous generations really had shown a exemplary participation in conservation of this tree. Seeing to this magnitude, or seeing to this commitment, the government of India has recently instituted the Amrita Devi Bishnoi Wildlife Protection Award. This is given for the individuals or the community from rural areas that have shown extraordinary courage and dedication in protecting wildlife. So this award is given to the people or the community who show the dedication in protecting the wildlife and the forest. This award holds the name of Amrita Devi, who took the initiative and lost her life in protecting of trees. So next, following to her footsteps, many movements have come across. The next is the Chipko movement. It is the embracing of trees. Everyone would have heard about this Chipko movement. It is embracing or hugging of trees. This to protect the trees that are in Himalayan region. this movement came into the existence. In 1974, a local woman showed enormous bravery in protecting trees from the acts of contractors by hugging them. People all over the world acclaimed this Chipko movement. That is, this Chipko movement was accepted in a worldwide to stop the cutting of trees from the contractors. This Chipko movement was started. This was started in, as I told you, this was started in 1970s. It was a non-violent movement aimed at protecting and conservation of trees and forest from being destroyed. This is with Chipko movement. It is nothing but the embracing of the trees, and these are the footsteps that was taken from the Bishnoi's movement. And there are many activists who participated in this. And next, realizing the significance of participation by local community, the government of India in 1980s has introduced a concept of joint forest management, which is called as JFM. What is this JFM? What did they do? It is to work closely with the local communities for protecting and managing forests. So this came into the concept, or this concept was come into the existence to appreciate the people who are contributing to save the forest areas. In turn, what did they get when managing this forest? In turn, in the returns of appreciation, what did they get? In return to their services, the communities get the benefit of various forest products. They get fruits, they get gum, they get rubber, medicines. These are some of the benefits they used to get from the forest. And this, the forest can be conserved in a sustainable manner. Only when we appreciate the communities, only when we appreciate the people, they take forward, they take it to the next step of the betterment. When we appreciate the students like you take up the career very seriously. When I appreciate the good things of the people, definitely they take the they ahead a future for the betterment. In the same way, this joint forest management introduced this, the government of India in 1980s introduced this forest management to work closely with the local communities. This joint forest management was come into the action. Hope you have all understood with the topics. So what we need to do? We all know how this forest is important. We just theoretically know how this forest is important. I have talked so much, but we just hear it and forget. But we really do not know the consequences, how we suffer if there is no plants. As I have already mentioned, if humans are not on the earth, it will definitely reduce the pollution. But if the plants are not there on the earth, the whole ecosystem, the whole earth, the whole world will be disturbed. If we all know we respire oxygen, that oxygen we are getting from the plants. If there is no plants, if we are all cutting down the trees, we will definitely die. We all know that we cannot sustain without the plants, but still we are into the cutting of trees. So kindly we have to take steps that to save the forest. We have to promise that at least one saplings we will be sowing it, and we will be protecting the mother earth. So kindly save forest and kindly save earth. So this is with the topic of today's session. We have completed the chapter of environmental issues. This will complete the chapter of environmental issues, that is the last chapter. But what we have studied in this chapter is air pollution and its control. We know what is air pollution and we know how to control it. We have studied what is electrostatic precipitators and all, that is very important. We have studied what water pollution is and how to control it. We have studied, we have known what are the different kinds of solid waste and how this can be disposed. And we have studied what are the agrochemicals and their effects. agrochemicals and their effects is nothing but the chemicals that have been used in agriculture and how it is disturbing us is being studied. We have studied about the radioactive waste in this chapter, radioactive waste, and also the disasters that have happened, may it be the Chernobyl disasters and Hiroshima Nagasaki disasters. These are all because of the radioactive waste. We have studied even that. Next is greenhouse effects and global warming. What is greenhouse effect, what is global warming, what are the greenhouse gases, how this is affecting our stratosphere, that is how this ozone depletion is happening in the stratosphere. It is because of the greenhouse gases. That has also been studied. And last, in this session, we have studied about the degradation by improper resource utilization and maintenance, and we have studied about the deforestation. These are the topics of environmental issues. Hope you have understood this chapter. It all carries a simple things. Environmental issues is nothing but what and all we have seen in our surroundings. Know the issues, try to rectify it. Let us try to contribute to our mother earth. At least a percent of it we should give it back to the mother earth. We are utilizing more, at least 1% or a percentage we have to give it back. We'll all see to it we do not make issues. We will just see to rectify the environmental issues that is happening. Let us contribute to save our earth. So this is with the chapter. Hope it is clear, and we'll end the session here. Thank you everyone.